All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today we're exploring a truly fascinating proposed shift in human organization. We're talking about moving away from physically bound countries to totally digitally native communities. We'll be unpacking the rise of horizontal ontologies, specifically by looking at Balaji Srinivasan's concept of the network state alongside sociologist Manuel Castells' foundational frameworks on the space of flows. It's a wild shift in how we think about society.
Think about this for a second. What if you could choose your nation based on shared values rather than just the random chance of where you happen to be born? It completely challenges the basic assumption that we have to be governed by the people who just so happen to live in our immediate geographic area.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We'll cover 1. The traditional nation-state. 2. The space of flows. 3. Geographic versus geodesic distance. 4. Enter the network state. And finally, 5. From cloud to physical land.
Starting off with Section 1, the traditional nation-state. Okay, so the absolute bedrock of a traditional state is its physical territory. It's defined by a monopoly of violence and coercive power within those drawn borders. As the sources point out, this is a strictly vertical top-down hierarchy. Basically, you're born on a patch of dirt, and the entity that controls that dirt sets the rules you absolutely must live by.
But right now, we're actively shifting from those top-down pyramids of power to decentralized webs. In the old model, power flows straight down to the masses at the base. But in the new model, governance becomes horizontal. It's a many-to-many relationship, what scholars actually call a heterarchy, and it's organized through complex digital networks rather than geographic proximity. Which brings us to Section 2, the space of flows.
Manuel Castells hit the nail on the head years ago. He observed that the information age created this whole new dynamic where global economic networks completely alter the nature of state power. He argued that the rise of these interactive horizontal communication networks fundamentally changes how we assemble and how we exert influence.
In this new space, distance is essentially irrelevant. People forge highly aligned identities and zip information around the globe, totally bypassing the rigid control of the traditional state. Castells contrasted the old space of places, your physical neighborhood, with this new space of flows. It's asynchronous, it's transnational. In this environment, your primary loyalties might actually tie to a global digital community rather than your local mayor.
That tees us up perfectly for Section 3, geographic versus geodesic distance.
This is a crucial distinction. Physical geography dictates who your neighbors are, right? But geodesic distance dictates who shares your actual values. Think about it. You might not even know the first name of the person in the apartment right next door to you, but you might collaborate daily and share your deepest thoughts with someone living 3,000 miles away. That is the fundamental difference between great circle distance and geodesic distance.
So ultimately, we are moving from a world where your community is predetermined by a map to one where it's probabilistically formed by your network connections. You aren't just assigned a community based on where your parents settled down. You're actively opting into a subnetwork based on your own specific moral compass. It's a complete paradigm shift.
All right, Section 4. Enter the network state.
So technologist Balaji Srinivasan coined this precise definition. He argues that we can intentionally build highly aligned nations starting entirely from our laptops. We're not just talking about a chat room here. We're talking about an entity with an integrated cryptocurrency, a recognized founder, and a real plan to manifest physically. The core requirement? A shared moral innovation, a single uniting principle that bonds the citizens together.
Look at how this just completely flips traditional governance on its head. Remember that rigid pyramid we talked about earlier? Well, here, power flows horizontally, from the individual upward into the network. It's a concept known as ex uno plurus, from one, many. It's a 100% opt-in system where you actively grant the network power through voluntary participation, instead of just being born into a system that forces power over you.
Srinivasan makes this fascinating point that, historically, humanity organizes around massive leviathans or prime movers. First it was God, then the state, and now the network is taking its place as the ultimate organizing force. People used to place their ultimate trust in religious doctrines, then political states, and now we're seeing trust placed in cryptographically secured networks and digital communities.
And finally, Section 5, from cloud to physical land.
So how does a subreddit actually mature into a recognized country? Well, there's a very specific step-by-step pipeline. It's a gradualist, bottom-up approach. You start as a society online. You figure out how to take collective action.
Then you literally pool your money to buy distributed physical nodes across the globe. And finally, you leverage your population to demand diplomatic recognition.
Cloud first, land last, but not land never. This is a massive departure from old utopian ideas like seasteading. This methodology stresses building your culture and your economy online first. You only acquire physical property once the community is already robust. Why? Because iterating and resolving conflicts digitally is incredibly fast and cheap, whereas buying real estate is full of friction.
So when they do go physical, it operates like a network archipelago. Think of it as a reverse diaspora. Instead of starting in one place and spreading out, they start spread out on the internet and concentrate into physical nodes. And here's the kicker. By leasing property instead of owning it centrally, citizens can just pack up and leave if they disagree with the network. It keeps governance power securely in the hands of the individual.
7 billion. To put that into perspective, that is your starting pool. Traditional nation building starts with a map, draws a line, and claims whoever is inside. But network state building? It starts with the global population and attracts minds one by one, scaling horizontally across the internet. It's an absolute game changer.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question. In a future defined by geodesic networks rather than physical walls, who will you align with? When the space of flows allows you to choose your community based on pure shared values rather than mere geographic accident, what kind of society will you help build? Thanks for joining me on this one. Keep questioning the architecture around you.